Yay! Hello. We're back. We've had a couple of weeks off because of a summit that I was involved in, and I was basically just a bit tied up. But we're back. And today, for the WP Builds Weekly WordPress News, we're joined by Leo Mindel from Sotic. There it is.
It is. If I turn that way, you can see it, just in case.
Check out, Leo is sporting a nice beard. Something tells me he's trying to copy somebody. I don't know who, but there you go.
I don't think I can be as astute as you ever, Nathan. I think those days have passed. Days have passed that I could do that look. Well done, you.
I'll get you to tell everybody who you are, if that's all right, Leo. Tell us about yourself.
So I'm founder of Sotic. We're a WordPress agency that delivers for governing bodies and federations in the world of sport.
Thank you very much. Leo deals with high traffic websites and he flattens them, shall we say. And down there,
good description. That
I like that. Yeah, he flattens them. And here we have Sabrina. Zeidan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Tell us who you are. Tell us what your relationship is with WordPress.
My name is Sabrina. My last name is Zeidan. I'm from Kyiv, Ukraine. My relationship with WordPress is my life story. It's it's my work, my friends, traveling, and all the fun in my life. So what I do, I speed up WordPress websites, which is a bit of fun too. And I have a plugin of mine, which you can see next to my name. It's called SpeedGuard. It monitors site speed daily and sends you a notification in case it needs attention.
Very nice indeed. Thank you, Sabrina. Thanks for joining us. And lastly, but by no means least, he's down there in the corner where he usually is. It's Paul. How you, Paul?
I'm good. I'm doing good, thanks, mate. I'm doing good. But yeah, Paul here from Dickbird Studio. We're a WordPress agency.
Oh, is that it? You don't do the Run Cloud bit anymore? Has that come to? Is that still happening?
I'm not. I don't know. I think I'm still like a kind of advocate of Run Cloud, but I'm just. I think I've stepped away from loads of things. I just kind of, I'm just me these days.
Paul from the Dicky Bird Studio is more than enough. I'm sure we're happy.
That'll do.
So we're here to talk about WordPressy stuff. Let me put that on the screen. Oh, I didn't mean to do it that way. Let's do it the correct way. There we go. So this is our WordPress-based website, wpbuilds.com. If you head over to this link at the top, subscribe. You can subscribe to our newsletter. And this one's probably going to be quite useful, this blue one, in the weeks to come. Black Friday's around the corner. I get the feeling everybody stopped spending and is now starting to save.
It was the Amazon sale this week, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Amazon trying to prize money out of your hands prior to Black Friday. Yeah, and you can join us in our Facebook group and so on. It's all on this page here. Also to say that we've got this deals page, loads of coupon codes from plugin and theme developers. If you fancy buying something, you can check out if there's a percentage off there. This is our news archive just here, and we're always on the top left one. And this week, it's all about shrimps. What a weird creature that is, that blue shrimp. I don't know if that's fake or real, but it's a blue shrimp, which is highly unusual. And we're talking about, look at it. Isn't that weird? Very strange. And so that's what this is about. We're going to talk about the WordPress news for the week commencing the 12th of October. Just before we begin that, usual sort of housekeeping, I suppose, is a good way to describe it. If you fancy making a comment, feel free to do so. But if you want it to be anything other than anonymous, then you'll have to fill in the little StreamYard link, probably, if you're over on Facebook. There's a little link in the description of this post at the top. Click on the link and allow StreamYard to see who you are. As an example, this person hasn't done that, and so we don't know who they are. Probably somebody does, but I can't look at Facebook at the moment. But Heinrich has, and so Heinrich says, "Good afternoon." Hi, Heinrich, and Paul Lacey fan club representing. Is that your wife, Paul? Is that your wife posting that comment?
Let's see.
This one.
Definitely not. The chances are low.
Okay, anyway, let's get on with it. Let me just take all the comments.
One of my bots.
You've got a bot set up to compliment you. I like it. Okay, let's get stuck into it this week. There's actually quite a lot, and Leo's lined up something so that we can watch something a little bit later, which is really nice. One of the most unusual pieces I've covered this entire year, I think. Let's get stuck in, though. We divide the WordPress news up into different sections. The first section is always WordPress Core. I'm going to touch on this so lightly because I don't really get what's going on here, but it's WordPress 5.6, Sarah Gooding, WP Tavern, WordPress 5.6 to introduce application password for REST API authentication. I didn't even know this didn't exist, but apparently it didn't, and it's going to be coming down the tube in 5.6. I have no reason to be using this, but I suspect that, you know, if you're creating plugins and themes and you want to suck data out, this might be quite useful as an authentication mechanism. Any of you three want to comment on that, or should we just brush that one under the carpet quickly?
I don't really want to comment it in great details, but it's really key that we have this because it's not about delivering to your own site. Well, it is, but it's actually being able to control where the REST API is ingested from outside of your own network and your own network. So if you're moving over to the ability to deliver apps to third parties and you want your content to be there, you need to have authentication in there unless you want all of your data to be sucked out. So it is important. There's degrees in there. That's my understanding.
Okay,
Sabrina.
And also for plugins developer, I just faced it maybe a month ago. When you do something across multi-site and you use REST API for that, previously you needed to build this authentication thing on your own, and now someone will do this for you. Isn't that nice? And it will be done like in a standardized way.
Okay. Well, that sounds really powerful then. I read through it and I thought to myself, there's probably some enormous great use for this, because it seemed like a lot of the developers were shouting, this is going to be great. But not being a developer in that sense of the word, it didn't really mean a lot to me. But there you go. That's a nice feature coming up in WordPress 5.6. Thank you for explaining that.
So, sorry, Nathan. I just was thinking, do you notice that everything is going like to more consistency this year? All these later releases and future releases this year, they are leading to more consistency in WordPress Core.
I think you can argue that's one of those like TikTok things where you have, always it used to be that the tick would be a very large increase in technology, and then a tock would be a reduction in features, but in a consolidation and making something better. That's how everybody, that's how when Apple with their iPhone will come out with a number, and then an S will be the next year, which will be they make it work. And I guess we're in a make it work year.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying, Sabrina?
I've just noticed that the way we as community making it work, it's just getting more shape, I think. Like more transparency in all the directions.
I wonder if this is pure speculation, but I wonder if more hours have been spent contributing to things like Core because of the fact that everybody has been largely at home. That is to say, commute times have been reduced in many cases to zero, and so lots of people have more time, perhaps more time on their hands to get themselves involved into projects like this. I have no idea whether that's true. It's just pure speculation, but yeah. That was Matt Davies. Matt Davies, I am indeed a bot run by to emulate a human being. Yeah. Did you write all those funnel packs, Paul, and then just send it off to this Matt bot?
I'm nowhere near as clever enough to write what Matt Davies and Mel did with funnel packs.
That would have been quite an achievement if you'd have written all that and then just
check out funnel packs if no one has heard of funnel packs.
Yeah, that's Matt's product, funnel packs. Yeah, go and check it out. Thank you, Matt, for contributing. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. This again, very, very sort of minor touching on. We won't go into this for long. If you were looking for the navigation screen to be coming in 5.6, basically it's going to be sidelined just for a little while. It feels like there's just not been enough enough work. So that's an example, I suppose, Sabrina, where there hasn't been enough work put into a particular aspect. And so I think it was Josepha has decided to put it on hold, put a pin in it for a little while. It's not going away. It's just going to be coming around a bit later. But we have got much more clarity and much more direction in terms of full site editing. They started to use the acronym, and when acronyms start to get thrown around, you know that people are using it. Look, FSEs. That's what it is, FSEs, if you're doing full site editing.
Okay.
Yeah, FSE. And it looks like, we're going to be turning a corner. There's an awful lot of stuff coming around, but it is basically just to say, keep your eye on the prize, 5.6, not that far off, and lots of improvements. But let's move on. Does anybody want to touch in this one? This is Justin's piece about block-based widgets ready to land in WordPress 5.6. I'm not going to touch on it, but if anybody does, I'll let you. If not, I'll move on.
The only thing I've got is on the previous one about, not this one, the previous one, was I'm actually happy that they pulled something that, normally it's like full steam ahead and everything. And Tom Osborne, even when we had our chat with him for the summit, for the Page Builder Summit, mentioned that the core team have done some amazing work, but he wishes that they would maybe just slow down a little bit. So I'm pretty happy that someone is able to just put the brakes on and has not been just told to jump straight ahead with that. Also, full site editing. I keep thinking about that and trying to imagine what that means. And I'm starting to imagine that full site editing for the beginning really means more like full blog editing. So really it's more kind of just like a very simple site concept is technically full site editable. And it's not like you're going to be able to get the most complicated website you've ever made in WordPress and suddenly an update comes in and you can use it to update everything. So clearly that was so boring.
Yeah, Sabrina's just literally had enough. Yeah, I should say for those people who are fans of Sabrina, her internet connection was really spotty before we started. So maybe she'll hop in and hop out as her connection allows.
I think Paul's right. Full site editing will not mean that you will literally be able to do anything you like in every single website, but. And this is the big thing. It should mean that where you've got smaller sites and things where people would traditionally go to Wix or Squarespace and other online editors that they will build them, that there will be a gateway product between the ability to build your site there and then know that when it gets to a certain size and a certain need that you can move on. I always think that there is a need for you to be able to use products to enable people to get to a certain point. But that doesn't mean to say you want every single website to be able to go down and drill through and pull everything apart.
Yeah, it feels to me like even though all three of us probably watch WordPress fairly closely, we still don't have all that much clarity on what's going on. But I suppose the vast majority of people who use WordPress don't give two hoots about what's going on. Here comes Sabrina again. Hello. See if she pops. Hello again. Hi, back.
I think you.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Nathan. People who are on WordPress.org and other areas are just using WordPress to build the sites that don't necessarily need to know or want. We're always jumping to how does it work? How does it work? How does it work?
Yeah.
But it's the same in many other fields where it's like a lot of people don't care what's under the bonnet as long as it works. They just want it to work. And
I think
editing and moving your site around shouldn't, some navigation shouldn't be beyond a standard person's task.
No, and I think some of the little UI aspects that I've seen over the last few weeks with things like navigation, and it all just looks like it's going to look like the block editor, but I'm not sure how that's going to play. How you're going to actually see what's on the screen and so on. But interesting. It's all just speculation at this point, but we're moving there. 5.6 coming out fairly soon. We'll move this one. I'm going to not comment too much on that one because it was a little bit of a difficult one to sort of get through. So we'll change tack and we'll go instead to this section, which is the community section. And I actually put this one in, Paul, because I thought you'd be able to fully educate us on RunCloud's Redis caching because of your RunCloud thing that you're a brand ambassador. But maybe that's not the case. But
give you a bit of insight into this post. RunCloud, what I love about RunCloud is that their mission is to almost remove the smoke and mirrors from from agencies and people, freelancers and website owners, being able to actually start using these cloud technologies, and also being able to see a little bit what's under the bonnet and not just hoping that it all works. But it does all work if you just want it to be like that, but you can be a techie person too. But they're trying to always lower the barrier to entry to these kind of things so that you haven't got to go through the gatekeepers to use the cloud technology. So this is a huge blog post about
it really is.
a plugin that they've developed called Runcache, which links up with the Redis cache system on the servers that you can set up. And it's quite an education if you read all of it. I've not read all of it. I've skimmed through the bits that are relevant to me. And that's one of the things that I love about their marketing and their blog posts, is that the first thing I did in there was I just searched in page for WP Rocket, because I was just wondering, are they going to mention WP Rocket? Because that's what I currently use. And how do I have a benefit from using this with WP Rocket? And it's in there, and it tells you, how this can replace aspects of WP Rocket, and will be, in theory, better because the server is generating a lot more of the stuff for you. But this article is all about their caching plugin, Runcache, which is free, I think, when you are using RunCloud. I think anyone can use it, but it's pointless using it if you're not using RunCloud, I think. And yeah, it's just a fantastic blog post that shows you everything that you could think of to know about for this, and then invites you, if you want to know more, to jump into their Facebook group and talk to the people there. I'd be interested in what Sabrina thinks about this, because honestly, I'm uneducated about Redis and Redis cache and everything. So this article actually is kind of thinking to me, oh, this is something I can use, rather than I'm going to just ignore that because it's just another thing. Whereas that article has kind of helped me think, do you know what, I could give that a go. But I don't know much about it, to be honest.
What I like about RunCloud, that they give you a choice, an opportunity to choose which system to use. So you can use their Redis cache system that Paul mentioned, or you can switch to fast CGI and use it, and compare how it works better with your current WordPress setup. So, for example, with WP Rocket and fast CGI, will your setup be faster than using the Redis cache system and the caching plugin? I think this is wonderful that they give the opportunity to choose, because some hosting companies, they just don't give you any choice at all. They just put you into circumstances, and you have to deal with them.
Yeah, it's nice.
I totally agree with Sabrina, because I don't like these situations where, I mean, it's great for some people who just want that solution and don't want to think about it. They can choose one of the managed hosts and they can go with that. But I don't like the concept of, here you are, here's your solution, but now you've got to take a few steps backwards to get it where you want it. I kind of prefer here is, I don't want to literally be plugging in the wall to my server and booting it up, something like that. But I want the 80% of it sorted for me, and I want to kind of sprinkle on the last 20%, the way that I like to use things. And that's why RunCloud works quite well for me. And that's why I've gone away from some of the other hosts that are also pretty awesome. Cloudways, I used to be a massive fan of Cloudways, but I just figured out that I don't need to pay for them to be a gatekeeper for me, because RunCloud have empowered me to have enough confidence to do the little few button presses that I can do to save half of the money. I'm talking a couple of button presses, press this, press that, you're exactly the same situation.
That is nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, that was much better explained than I could ever have done. So I appreciate that, guys. That's amazing. Right. Okay. This is the weirdest one I think we're probably going to get in months. So this is WordCamp Austin. Now, WordCamp Austin took place, I'm going to say, in the last few days. I'm not entirely sure of the dates, but last few days, I'm sure is pretty much true. We spoke a couple of weeks ago about the fact that they wanted live music, and I just thought that was going to be streamed over, I don't know, kind of like YouTube or something like that. But no, not the case. What, in fact, we've got is a live event. And when I say live event, look, Leo's in it. So this isn't a video, right, Leo? You're doing this as we speak.
This. So I'm going into the there were two rooms, the Cactus Cafe and the Broken Spoke. So you walk in. So if I go into the Broken Spoke, I can actually jump straight to the videos. So I can go straight to the videos and that were on. And you were walking around. There's the big W, which for anybody who knows, the money is always under the big W. If you don't get that joke, you don't know what I mean. I'm surprised, Sabrina, you're laughing. You're not old enough to laugh at that joke. So only, in fact, Paul doesn't get it. I'm sure, he doesn't, but Nathan does. It's a reference to a very.
I'm generally an ignorant person as well, so there is that.
No, but it's a very, very old film. Anyway, so you got the list of who was on, and you were able to look, and you were able to do there. And this was the live stage. So the stage for the live concert was here. The nice thing when there were other people in the room is you were able to walk up to them and you could talk to them, and the audio worked as you got closer to them. You could hear them, and as you walked away, you could not. Really
sorry,
nice.
What you mean by that is if they were talking through their microphone,
as in we're talking here. Yeah.
Wow.
So
and it got louder and quieter as you
passed it. Exactly, as you walked into conversations. So you can't hear it now because I've turned the audio off. But as you walk in, I wonder if actually... No, it'll be too difficult. As I walk into this room, you won't hear it. But as I walk into this room, I can now hear this playing. And as I walk out of this room, it disappears into the background. Mm-hmm. But you have an ability to actually click on a thing, and you can. I wonder if I've got to be closer. There you go, and you can see the volume level. You can actually change the volume level on the TV. I don't know if you can see that.
No, I can't.
There you go. There you go. You can see it. You can see. Can you just about make out that I'm changing the volume level on the TV?
Oh yes.
So even when I'm in the room,
even
when I'm in the room, if I'm standing next to somebody, I'm able to just mute the TV with the main live screen while I'm sitting there talking to you.
This is, I mean,
so it's unbelievable. It's really, really good. It was really good. And then it's built on a technology called Mozilla.
Is it Mozilla Hubs?
Hubs, thank you.
Hubs, yeah.
My understanding is the room was fairly easy to set up, but the VR stuff, and it works on a VR headset, took 6 weeks to build. So it isn't for the faint-hearted. And apparently on a number of the things that they wanted to add, they just couldn't because it was just crashing everybody's machines. Okay,
so maybe in the future. The thing that I don't play video games at all, but my children do, and they love it. They love this kind of an environment. And I'm like I said, I'm not a game player, but there is something really cool about it. It's really compelling. And obviously it's fake, nobody's really there, but it does seem to have something about it. There is just something next level about it and much more engaging. And I honestly think even if I didn't attend the sessions, I would have got trapped in that summit and just played about, just walking around, bumping into people and saying hi and seeing who I could surprise, really great.
There's also a 2D version of something very similar. So I'm just
You're going to share that one as well. Okay, I'll wait till you put your screen up. Yeah. What did you guys think about it, though, Paul, Sabrina? Did you like the look of it?
Yeah.
I'm not a game player as well. Sorry.
You go, Sabrina.
I can go back to that one. Go take this off for a minute, and we'll come to this one in a second. Yeah.
Oh.
That's it.
From studio.
No.
I am a game player.
No, I don't want to kick you. You just put your other one in. Can you stop that one and put the other one in?
Yeah, I'll stop that one and put the other one back in. Okay. Yeah, okay.
I nearly booted you out, Leo, which wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, thank you. Go, Paul.
I was going to say, I am a game player. I play a lot of games. Playing Zelda Breath of the Wild at the moment, and I could watch someone complete this game, which takes around 60 hours. I'm on about 45 at the moment. But just to be immersed in it is, me and my son were playing it on the weekend, and he's only 6. But I was like, okay, Theo, I need to create some recipes. Can you go and cook me some recipes so then I can go and fight the boss with more energy, for instance? And he loved doing that. He loved the immersive part of it. And then I would go and do the missions and stuff. And I think that I would personally love this, because when I do go to WordCamps, I just go and talk to people. And
so you can throw wapoos and throw and claps and things, but I don't know if you can see them, because, as I say, it's now on test mode. So I think they've scaled the servers down, but it was on. You were able to throw wapoos. I wonder if I can throw a wapoo again. Hold on, here you go. We'll see if we can throw. Maybe you can sort of see it. It's throwing.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah. What do you think, Sabrina? Does this sort of stuff does it make you think, oh no, not another attempt at an online event, or do you like it?
I think it's funny, but I can see myself like stucking into it for a long time. I would rather talk in real world or in Zoom meeting or whatever with the person.
Yeah, I guess. Go on, Leo.
Sorry. The thing that's different there, Sabrina, is when you're talking in a Zoom call, only the people everybody is talking in the same space. So if there's 5 people, only one person can talk. Or if there's 25 people, only one person can talk. Or 50 people, only one person can talk. In this, you naturally, as you walk away from people and talk to somebody else, you have a different conversation. So you can literally bounce between conversations all the time without actually, so still only one person in the little group can talk, but it's different groups all the time, and you're intermixing, which you can't do in Zoom. You just can't do in Zoom.
I'm wondering, what is the polite way to walk out of our conversation?
So it's easy. That is it. You just back up and nobody notices you disappear. So,
just gently glide away.
You gently glide away, and they don't even know you're there. So that's it. You're gone.
What it feels to me like a sort of nascent technology. It's clearly, to us, it's pretty cutting edge. In 5 years' time, this will look ridiculous, but it's what we've got. But I, for the first time in my life, not very long ago, put on some VR goggles. I'd only ever seen them before. And I was really surprised by how convinced I was that I was there. I was to the point where things would be coming at me, and I would flinch and shake and try and back away and all of this kind of stuff. And give it 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. This sort of stuff will be, I'm sure, really convincing. And I'm with Sabrina. I want to go back to the getting on the aeroplane and going to the event. That would be my ideal. But imagine that you couldn't go to the event, let's say economic reasons, or simply you just can't be bothered to give up that amount of time. You could show up to the online version of it, and you can imagine a future where the online version is in some way mixed up with the real version, cameras dotted around the place. And I have to say, I am unbelievably impressed that in the WordPress space, somebody pulled this off. I can imagine Google or Apple or Facebook pulling this off for one of their events, but I am really surprised that the WordPress community put this together, and I'm amazed, absolutely amazed. It looks fabulous.
It's one of the guys in the Austin team. I spoke to him briefly because I actually attended the live event for.
Did he back away after? Leo, that's the thing. He was just.
They were just amazing. It was just a really interesting. There were quite a few people. There were a couple of us from the UK, and some of the people that we recognised from the US were there, and it was just fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, we've spent quite a time on this.
No, it's okay. Let's just look at the other quick screenshot, because I thought that was really interesting.
Okay, so for the same ability, but without the complexity of the 3D, there is something called GatherTown. And this is GatherTown. So there's part of me that feels very reminiscent and of a 1980s game. And what you can do with this, exactly the same. You could probably just about make out, hopefully you can, that I'm in the bottom right-hand corner of my video is. But when you walk up to other people, their videos appear at the top. You can walk around and then you can interact with things. So this is a whiteboard. I can interact with this whiteboard that I can do. And again, you can interact with the there. So there is somebody else in here. I don't know who the anonymous is.
Oh, goodness.
It's interesting that there is somebody else in there.
Yeah.
but somebody else can put in the URL, so
yeah,
I don't know who they are. Their video hasn't connected, so you can walk around. As you can see, the nice thing is, as you can see, as I walk away from them, their video at the top disappears and their sound disappears. So as I get closer to them, their video and their sound will reappear, so they can then hear me. And you can, if you want to find somebody, what you do is you click and you say locate, and then it will give you a little arrow to find them, so you can find where they are, so you can wander around, find them. There's lots of, again, you can actually put into this the live screen of this. What we're on now could be a live presentation in here. So you could all go and watch the live presentation instead of the moon. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a fault with this system. You can sit here at the bar for a very long time and nobody serves you.
Yeah, you need self-service there. It's interesting. Peacher, obviously fascinated by it. What is this setup? So I hope we've described that as the Wordcamp Austin thing. Matt says it's very colourful and vibrant.
Yeah.
It's a 60s film reference. There you go. This adds a lot to the event as long as it doesn't show off the pajamas that we're wearing whilst we attend. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's another good reason to do it virtually, isn't it? You can sort of just show up how you like. But like I said, I'm slightly floored that this was possible in the WordPress space. Amazing. And obviously not as good as the real thing, but pretty darn amazing.
You know what? There's some really good things about this, right? I know the three of you aren't so much playing games so much. Leo, I'm not sure. Did you say you play games, or are you not really a gamer?
I did. So that game room sort of reminds me, but not quite, of Jet Set Willy.
I'm with you, Leo. You're showing your age.
Era.
Yeah.
But this sort of thing has been done for a long time, and the graphics don't really matter. It doesn't need to look realistic at all. It can look exactly like it is for the next 5 years, and I don't think it would make the experience any less. I mean, anyone who plays World of Warcraft, I don't play that, but people get married from playing, being in these virtual places and have families and all sorts of crazy stuff, and now the most popular game, I think, that is going around at the moment is for Nintendo, called Animal Crossing, which is basically a virtual world where you have your own space and you can visit other people's islands and you talk to them and everything like that. And it's a completely social experience, and it's a big step from a Zoom call, because
I think that's the bit you're not. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Paul. A Zoom call, as I said earlier, it's a one-way conversation, and as I'm talking now, unfortunately, I've interrupted your conversation, and that when you've got 50 people on a Zoom call, you can only have one person talking. With this, you get that feel of being in the room. So, bluntly, when Vito joins, you can walk away from him.
Roasted. I'm going to send him that moment.
And Pisha.
Oh, dear me.
She's got a track and locate.
I've mentioned this before. Myself and Sabrina met in real life when we were both trying to attend Peach's talk at WordCamp London, and it was so full that we couldn't get in. So we were both watching it on my laptop, sitting outside on the live stream, just sitting outside. But it was good because you could still get the atmosphere that was going on inside the door that we weren't allowed to go through. And I just loved that idea in the first one, the 3D one, where you all have to go into the room to watch the talk. And you can imagine that if a talk is particularly popular, you'd see all these avatars in there and everything.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
Just to sort of put some context on some of them, the 3D one, I think tops out about 30 people on a room. So they actually broke it into 3 different areas, so they all are interconnected, but you can only have 30 people in one room and 30 people in another and 30 people in the lobby, or it just tops out, I believe. The other one doesn't, but it's a paid service. But I think this, to me, there's just so many really clever things to use it for.
Yeah, so the example that you gave a few minutes ago was a game for the ZX Spectrum called Jet Set Willy. And when I was about 8, that was the height of what a computer could achieve. And I'm not a pensioner yet. I'm in my 40s, but in the space of 40 years, we've gone from Jet Set Willy being the absolute apex of what was possible to something akin to World of Warcraft, which when I stand over my children's shoulder and look on the screen, I am struggling to not believe it's a film. It looks like a film. And you can imagine 40 years from now, this technology will become far less clumsy. They'll have worked out something like this that can probably just go on your face and it'll be affordable.
Well, you can do that, but I think the thing is that this period has massively moved all of this technology far forward so much faster than it would have been normally. So I would say in the last 9 months we've gone forward on this technology and we're trying to experiment. And there's a load that are coming out. There are loads and loads of these conferencing packages coming out to expand that conference or to try and bring back that experience.
Yeah, it was interesting. Last week when we did our conference, our summit, we went very low key, very low-fi. We just basically put video and you had to press play even. It wasn't live streamed or anything. But some people thought that was really good because it just enabled them to join and press play whenever they wanted. But obviously it's a far cry from what we've just seen. Anyway, I'm going to move on if that's all right.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, yes, please.
One more thing. It's just comparing this to the kind of Jitsi rooms and the Zoom rooms and stuff like that you have at conferences. There's one big problem with the Jitsi rooms and the Zoom rooms where you've got 30 people in there, and Leo will know this because when the two of us are in those rooms, there might be 30 people in there, but there's normally only 5 people who seem to be brave enough to actually speak and turn the camera on, and the rest are kind of listening. And occasionally someone gets brave enough and joins in. And I think that, if you've got a few people who are loudmouths like some of us are, then the Jitsi rooms can be completely overwhelming and feel like I can't join this conversation because, especially in the event me and Leo were talking a lot in, one person just kept putting these snowboard videos on every few minutes, and it was all about him. It was all about him. And no one else wanted to.
If only I could go snowboarding. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
No, but you can. Yeah. The confidence that I see my kids have by being, especially one of my kids has got severe anxiety issues, and they find a great comfort in these sort of environments that they can go and have their own avatar of themselves and get a lot more confidence. So I could see this being a confidence building thing, much like a real WordCamp is when you actually go and you realize how welcoming everybody is. But faces on screens can be a bit intimidating, I think.
Just breathtaking. Give it 10 years and I'm sure it'll be much more normal, visually normal than it looks now, but amazing. My only fear of those kind of events though is that the technology collapses at some point. It literally breaks and then the whole event is doomed because it's based upon something which is now not working. Whereas you can't really destroy a real world event. Anyway, right, let's move on. So the next bit is plugins, themes, and blocks. I think that's right. Yeah, plugins, themes, and blocks. We'll just race through this quite quickly. If you're a toolset user, has Sabrina gone again? Is she back? No, I thought you'd gone away, Sabrina. Sorry. If you're a toolset user, you can now add. This I think is quite a cool feature. You can now add in different permissions for different people on your team because toolset covers so many things. You might not want certain aspects of your team to have any capability to go in and address that bit of the website. So toolset now allows you to set granular permissions for what different people in your team can actually do with the plugin, which I just thought was a really, really funky idea. She's back. She's back in the room.
I am. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll keep pulling you back in as if you drop out. So I just thought that was really nice and worth a mention.
My understanding of this was that it was just your account login for toolset.
No, I think it's a bit more. Look, so you can. No, there was a little bit more to it. No, where did I get it from? I could be wrong, but that was the takeaway that I got.
I need to reread this one. Yeah, because at first, I guess I dismissed this article as kind of like, what's the point in that?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I've misunderstood it, but that was what I took away from it, and I don't think it was from this piece. Anyway, if you reread it and you get that, and I've clearly mucked it up. I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is quite nice. WPMU dev users. I think what you've got to do really here is go and look at these animated GIFs. Basically, if you're a hub user, think Manage WP or Main WP. It's WPMU dev's take on that. You bolt all of your sites onto it, and you can update things. They've spent a ton of time making the UI look better, and so the old version is on the left, the new version is on the right, and I actually quite like it. I logged in and had a little look. And I really like it. I just like what they're up to. Looks really nice. They're obviously in a competitive marketplace, and what they had looked pretty poor compared to what they've now got. I know I don't know if any of you are WPMU dev users, but I make use of their services. So yeah, there you go. Quite nice. Shall I move on? Mm-hmm. Okay. Gravity Forms 2.5 beta. Now, I've said this over the last few weeks. It felt to me like Gravity Forms were in a bit of a doldrum in terms of updating their product, and certainly in terms of messaging. And I felt that a lot of these new plugin forms, things like WP Forms and Fluent Forms and what have you, had really stolen a march in terms of PR and marketing and features and the UI. And looks like Gravity Forms have got the message loud and clear that they're going to get left behind. I bet a load of people have cancelled licenses over the last 12 months for rival products. And, they can probably see that coming. So they've got a really nice new UI. They don't really show it in here, which is, when I say UI, I mean a UI for dragging fields into the form builder. And you can do things like, instead of having to use CSS to put things next to each other in columns, you can now do that natively. You can drag in up to 6 column blocks and drop things in. So I'm guessing it's a bit Gutenberg-y. Anyway, so this is the takeaways. They've improved accessibility. They've got this new form editor, column control that I've just talked about, different markup, and they've taken the time to integrate it with some themes. They don't say which ones in that article, but they say wide assortment of themes. I've still got a license lying around. No matter what happens, I can't afford to let go of it because a load of my clients are on Gravity Forms, and it's just not economically worth my while to go and rebuild the forms in a rival product. But anyway, Gravity Forms, discuss.
I'm not a user, so I can't really discuss on the individual, but I do agree with you that how certain plugins come in and out of favor. And we need that. We actually need that. We need something to come up, take over, and others to come back and take over. Obviously, the relevant people don't want it, but that's the way the world works because it's time to reinvent things. I was having a long discussion with one of the people who do websites where they flatten them, and the forms is a big area. How to deal with that long term. And I
think Gravity Forms have got, I think they work with static aspects of it. For example, just because of their size, I guess you'd pick Gravity Forms first of all with things like Contact Form 7. I think that worked, but really interesting. Anyway, nice to see that their messaging is now, like, they updated occasionally, and I never knew that they'd done it. They made no attempt to market those changes, but now they really seem to be on a bit of a roll. Emails are going out, just things like this. They've actually created a graphic to go with it. That sort of stuff just seems like it never happened. There we go. Gravity Forms.
I'm a user. And, it's still my go-to form plugin but a lot of the tools I use every day are those tools that have a, slowly does it, cautious approach to their way forward, and I think that's just stuck in my mindset. So I'm looking at, when I look at the screenshots of what they're doing and how it all works, it looks really cool, and it makes me slightly nervous that will it all be fine when they update? But I'm pretty sure that I put trust in this company, as in I do have a lot of respect for this company, and I think that they know how to push things out. And I think that they won't be pushing it out because this isn't we need to push this 2.5 out so that we can drop a deal on AppSumo and then get 100,000 things, and then we've got our money for the next 6 months. Then we'll worry about the rest after. That's not what forms are trying to do. They can see where things are going, and I think that they're probably, everyone will have just raced far ahead of Gravity Forms for a while, and then suddenly it'd be like, it's Gravity Forms again.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that people like me who have moved on in many ways to a different platform, I'll still shell out the money for Gravity Forms, like I say, because it's just it's not worth the trouble going back fixing things.
No.
This one came across my Reddit. So this is not really news, right? In that this has been around for ages. I think when I say ages, I mean months rather than years. But this is just, I wanted to raise this because a load of people that I know have used this and really rave about it. It's called Grid Builder, or WP Grid Builder. You can see you can't. Anyway, wpgridbuilder.com is the URL. And it's a bit like Facet WP or Search and Filter Pro. But it looks really, really nice. So if you've got a need for using this kind of product, then here we go. Another bit of disruptive stuff. It seems like if you come into the marketplace, like let's say you do something like this, imagine like you've got to be better than the opposition, haven't you? You've got to be better. You've got to have more bells and whistles than the competition to get noticed. And I feel that these guys have done that. I could probably just sort of scroll through the page a little bit, but show you it's just got a nice UI. So if you need this kind of stuff, searching, filtering, faceted search, nice.
Well, it's priced very aggressively against Facet WP. The pricing is the same, apart from you get on the unlimited deal, you get unlimited sites on Grid Builder versus Facet WP, plus you also get a 40% renewal discount. I think Facet WP were a company that, we don't do renewal discount type thing, as far as I know. They might have before, and then the Facet WP have always marketed about, whenever it comes to marketing about money, they always show you the benefit of their products and justify the price of it, which I know doesn't sit well with everybody, because, you will make your decision whatever, so you can say, look at this product, it's really great, you should buy it because of its value, and you say, well, that one's exactly the same and it's cheaper, I see the value and I'll buy your competitor. But is this the plugin that you were asking me about, Nathan?
Yeah, it was, because I did a talk in our summit about faceted search. My presentation was about it, and I use Facet WP because I've used it before, but I was desperate to show a rival product. And it was this, and I just couldn't remember what it was called. And I think it's totally a bit under the radar. I don't think they've risen into the consciousness of everybody yet. Anyway, so almost like it's an advert. There it is, something new, something I like the look of. Maybe check it out if you need that kind of thing. Perfect for I don't know.
Has passed the David Wormsley test at all in terms of?
Not a lot gets to pass the David Wormsley test. No, so I imagine the answer is no. We'll probably be in a different decade before David gets around to playing with it. Actually, do you know what? David's launched a new service, which I should have mentioned. He's got this new Beaver Builder thing. Did you see that, Paul? If you can find the URL for me, it's in the Page Builder Summit group. I'll stick it up if you stick it in the thank you.
For a few minutes.
That's right. Yeah, anything to keep Paul Lacey quiet. Paul, I think your dog needs a walk. Maybe attend to that. This is Termageddon and Main WP. Termageddon, a service that I have not used, but if you need like privacy policies and all that kind of stuff, Termageddon, they claim to sort of like take that burden off you. So privacy policies automatically updated. I think you literally throw like a short code onto your website and pay them a monthly fee, and they'll make sure that you are compliant from a privacy policy, terms and conditions policy point of view. Do you employ lawyers, Leo, when you do all this sort of stuff, or do you get your clients to do terms and conditions, or do you even bother?
They have no, we definitely bother.
Yeah,
they do have to go through lawyers on certain clients. There's a lot. I mean, we could spend a whole never-ending lifetime talking about this and where we are under the changes to GDPR and changes to this safe harbor. A lot of this is going to change. A lot of this, well, because obviously under where we end up in the UK, we will be outside of GDPR to some extent later this year, potentially. The safe harbor hasn't been agreed. So it's all turning into real nightmare when it turns about cookie policies and other policies and how you deal with all of this.
Yeah,
it's not a fun conversation.
No, and it's such a boring subject to actually get yourself involved in.
And that makes me feel also with things like this is talking about, I know the guy the person this is coming from the American Bar Association. I don't know where we're going to stand. I really can't tell you where we're going to stand in terms of, nobody knows. Nobody knows what we're going to be sitting under next year.
Yeah, I spoke to Hans Skillrud. He's the guy behind Termageddon. I spoke to him a little while ago, and I don't know if they've done it already, but they're hoping, I think, to launch a UK version, which is backed by a team of UK lawyers. So hopefully everything in the UK will be fine. I don't know about individual countries, but it's based largely in America and Canada at the moment. Anyway, the point of this is if you've got main WP, you can now connect all of your privacy policies and terms and conditions and update them from within your main WP dashboard, which I just thought was, in my case,
which makes
really
a lot
nice.
of sense.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense because they're those horrible pages that most people forget they're out of date.
Yep.
And they'd never touch them, and that makes it worse than not having them in a way at all.
Yeah.
So you need to keep these things updated.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
It's the most uninteresting bit of our work, isn't it? This is cool. I love what Munir Kamal is doing. So this is Editor's Plus. I keep saying I want to say Editor Kit there, but it's not. It's Editor Plus. And he's just like, this guy is a machine. He seems to push out amazing product after amazing product, and not just amazing product, but then he updates it and constantly iterates it. And he's got Editor Plus, which is a plugin to add a ton of stuff to just for free to Gutenberg, and he decided he would throw in animations. Now, Justin Tadlock, I trust Justin's opinion on almost everything that I've ever read of his, and he was nervous that it was going to bloat things out, but he looked at the code and he said, no, it's clean, it's lean, it does the job with very minimal addition to the CSS and JavaScript. It does. There you go. It adds fade, slide, bounce, zoom, flip, fold, roll. If you use this kind of stuff, look, pretty nice UI. Click on an element, tell it to slide, and off it goes. So more stuff coming into Gutenberg. I don't even know whether I'd use anything like this, but
it actually, the difference in when I do videos, for example, the difference between a small degree, a touch of animation and no animation does make a huge difference. Same on websites. I think a small amount of animation done well and repetitively, in other words, you use the same animation the same way over and over again to signify something, actually adds a degree. But it's the same with PowerPoint, isn't it? You sit there with some people who think that every single slide should animate in a completely different way, and you're like, it doesn't add class. It just doesn't. Do it carefully, and or just put a hat on it.
Yeah. I tend not. I don't know whether you do. I noticed on your website, Paul. No, it was the Generate Press website that you built. You actually put a cool little feature in the footer, like a toggle for the animations, which I thought was quite a nice idea. And I guess by default it's off, and you have to go in and enable the animations if you want to get that extra load.
Yeah, well, the very quick story of that is that we did the animations, which are cool and everything for the Generate.
They are cool. They are very cool.
But Tom Usborne was like, the problem with this is, I'm using Generate Press on the Gutenberg block editor here, and my website is like 0 point something kilobytes or whatever. It was tiny, like the website itself, and everything was vector, right? So, and we wanted to, we'd done these animations, and by normal standards, the animation script that you have to use for this kind of thing is called Lottie. It's pretty small. It's like 200 kilobytes or something, but that doubled the size of the web page. So it was like, I don't, Generate Press is all about speed and performance. So let's give people the choice. We love the animations, but let's put it down as a kind of Easter egg at the bottom. So that's why animation mode is at the bottom, because performance and usability came over the shiny bits.
Yeah. And you know what? For many people, the shiny bits are far more important than the SEO bits. They want it to look good, and the SEO is of zero consequence. So I'm sure Sabrina's got something to say about animations and page load time and things, though.
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful feature because it will stop people from using additional huge plugins for one single animation. You know, for example, a designer or marketer, they want to add a shiny bit to a page, so they install some heavyweight plugin for do just one single thing to make this picture fade or zoom or something, and this feature will let them do this without installing additional stuff and using it for one thing only.
It's pretty nicely simple design. Look, you know, fade, slide, bounce, pick your thing, how long it's going to take, which direction, and click go. Great. All this stuff starting to come into Core. Very nice indeed. Very cool.
So the animations, are they coming into Core?
Well, I would imagine that if you've got something like this, and if Justin's touting it as, you know, this is really lightweight, no, maybe not. Maybe it won't come into Core. No, I would imagine 80% rule would say don't.
But yeah, Minia is one of those people who's creating almost the things that then become into Core.
Yeah,
it's kind of like they're doing the really hard work and coming up with the ideas that then get absorbed into the Core. And I think some of these animations would be great in Core. I'm not one for like we should have like a whole load of layout things that spin around, but the basic entry and exit animations I think is like Sabrina.
Basic things, just not to make people search for other like heavy stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. The thing about it is once we've got the ability to install these blocks from within the block editor, I think what is Core starts to become a bit fudged anyway, because you won't necessarily even know what you installed. It was just like, oh, it's an available block. I don't know how it got there. Okay, right, let's move on.
Think about it like this, right? Remember when we get the block library thingy that's a bit like the plugin library or the theme library. This thing. So you'll be able to go and get loads of different blocks. What if they all feel the need to add an animation?
Oh God! Yeah.
Well, if this was part of Core, then they would all just hook into this, and you wouldn't need that. And then it would be, you know, most likely they'd all be using the same animation library because it's a very popular one that almost everyone uses. But this would stop a load of bloat happening before it needed to, because we're still in experimental stage at the moment. So.
Luckily, there'll be people like you and you know, people like that to keep an eye on all of this and create news posts like this about all that kind of stuff. Okay, I don't want to talk about WooCommerce, so I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to go back to my article over here and say that we've done all that.
WooCommerce.
Oh, what, that
really
one?
Briefly.
Yeah, of course.
I just found this one quite interesting because I'd never heard of WooCommerce Payments, right? And
I hadn't.
Yeah, is it like it's like Stripe but built into what?
But it's not Stripe.
Yeah.
I didn't even get it. I mean, they're sort of touting the freeness of it, and then it sort of says free until you actually make a sale, and it's like, well, it's not free, is it?
Yeah,
it's just not free.
So this I guess is something that's mainly out in the US. I'd never heard of it before. And as soon as I saw this, I thought it's kind of cool for those people who want it. I was quite shocked that the news item here is that it didn't work with subscriptions, because I always thought that any payment gateway is whatever comes before that, it just accepts it. But it looks like WooCommerce Payments was maybe a little bit early in its kind of life cycle. But the one thing that it made me think was that, and I'm probably a year or two or maybe 3 behind on thinking this, is Automatic and Matt Mullenweg too financially deep into WordPress with things like this to be still claiming to be the benevolent dictator for life, you know, running it? Because there's a lot of money in this. If you know, we've got Matt on here, he's, you know, in the comments, he knows all about funnels. Clearly a funnel pointing people, you know, towards get your free website, you know, that is just like Wix now because it's the block builder, full site editing, blah, blah, blah. Here's your WooCommerce thing. We're making this free. You don't need to even use Stripe. You can just use WooCommerce Payments. And it's kind of like, is WordPress a big funnel towards this stuff now? You know, and is that fair? I think that's why I could be speaking way out of
So what does this sentence at the bottom mean then, where it says WooCommerce Payments is currently available to US merchants only? Check out stripe.com/blah, blah, blah to make sure that WooCommerce Payments will work for your business. So is it not just built on top of Stripe?
I don't know. Why would you do that?
To make money, I guess. I don't know.
But, I mean, why wouldn't you just use Stripe? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's the bit that I don't understand.
So I don't get the product, and
that's kind of why I didn't want to talk about this one, because I don't really get it.
I want to find out more about it. That's for sure.
Okay, right. Well, there you go. Your job for next week is to find out more about WooCommerce Payments. Okay, that sounds good. Right, we're running out of time. Bunch of deals. The only new one that I came across this week was this one. It's an AppSumo one. No idea whether it's any good or not. It's called WordPress Portal. I guess it's like a client portal type of thing. Security news. There was a vulnerability in Child Theme Creator by Orbisius. 30,000 users. If that rings a bell, go and get it fixed. I did an episode which I reckon Sabrina would have quite liked. I don't know if she had a chance to listen to it or not, but with a guy called Alexandru Kovton from a company called WP Dandy, and he's just trying to keep people's websites healthy for a period of time, like a year. And he goes, honestly, he had so much to say. In the end, I had to cut him off because there was just so much that he could have done. We were like an hour and 10 minutes, and I said, we're going to have to wind it up. Very knowledgeable guy, really nice guy, and just a ton of things that you can do. Laundry list of stuff to keep your site healthy. So go and check that out. What else?
To meet Alexandru at Wordcamp Kiev last year. He was
Nice.
speaking at Wordcamp Kiev, and I was organizing. I wear a Wordcamp Kiev T-shirt today.
Hey, nice. Hey.
Yeah.
So you
that's
met
why-
him? Cool.
Yeah, and I think his talk was about maintenance as well. That's what his company does.
Yeah. He's got a company, WP Dandy. I think I just mentioned that. And go and listen to the episode. There's a ton in there. It's a shame that I kind of had this hour period of time in my head. This, I feel, is quite an important one. In fact, this might be the most important bit of news of the entire year. And that is to say that Google, as of very soon, can't remember the date, March the 21st, 2021. So what have we got? A few months. Desktop search, it's gone. Basically, it's gone. Everything's mobile. So if you don't have a mobile responsive site that Google can in some way interpret in a mobile way, you are going to completely disappear. Like 100% you're gone. Which is just fascinating. I mean, this has been mooted for ages. What's the percentage now? Don't know, but it must be well into the 50s or 60% of everything searched is done on mobile. It's the direction of travel.
Fantastic news for all those small businesses
Yeah.
hit by COVID,
Yeah.
looking to 2021 to recover with their cheap websites that they've built in their hosted package. And then they just put Google.
I was wondering actually if there was an opportunity here. I know it's not, it stands in complete contradiction to everything you just said, Paul, which is obviously miserable for those people. But if there's a slight opportunity here to mop up people who literally have done nothing with their website for a decade, and you don't have to turn something beautiful out, you just have to turn something functional out. And it reminds me of that SSL thing that we had, and then GDPR. It was a great excuse to write to your customers and say, did you know that SSL is going to become real? Did you know that GDPR is going to, did you know that your website's going to disappear off the internet? Anyway,
Which thing for reactivation, those clients that almost forgot about your existence.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That email drops in and you can
But there's another reason to do, to look at this from another perspective, from Google's perspective. It means that they cut down how many times they're searching things. So they're only searching one site, not two. They're cutting down all of that information and the information that they're having to create. And they're cutting down and getting rid of effectively old sites. So this is sort of culling off the Windows XP generation of sites and saying, that's it, it's enough now. Yeah. You've had your time. Had your time. You should have done it. And if you don't put a stake in the ground to say no more for these sites, people will just be continually saying, "Oh, but it doesn't really matter." And it's like, actually, it does, because any site that isn't mobile enabled is most likely probably not that secure and that well built and still full of tables.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. You know, they probably don't much care about their SEO if they haven't got a mobile
Yeah,
version.
It's time
already.
to say that's it. I mean, they could make the argument. They've made the argument already. They've already made the argument that they're not searching on sites which are HTTP and just HTTPS.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't actually turned it all off yet, but it won't be long before Chrome just says, you can't open this site any longer.
Yeah.
It's an insecure site. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. And it's time to go. It's time to go. And it has to be done. Sometime it has to be done.
Yeah, and then 20 years from now, we'll have it's not virtual reality enabled. We're not going to index it. It's not going to get indexed. You can't view it in 3D. Right.
Good.
Okay.
It has to move on.
What's next? Just a couple, very, very quickly. If you've got a UK PayPal account, I don't know if this is UK only, but if you do have a UK PayPal account and you don't use it, they're going to charge you £12. Just log in and then log out again. That's all I'm saying. Don't give £12 to PayPal for no good reason. That just seems like squandering money. And then this one, I was quite interested in Paul Lacey's take on this. I don't know if you saw this, Paul. This is a Firefox extension. I mean, it purports to do something a bit similar to, let's say, something like WP Feedback or Project Huddle, but it's not. This I feel is like to share with your team. So Leo, big team, I don't know if this, you can make modifications to the website with that little crazy widget. Why on earth you would want people on your team to be using it? Anyway, I just thought it was quite interesting. It's called pagereview.io, and non-skilled people can go in, clients, I guess, and say, could we make that font size 29 instead of 28 because it looks loads better? And then they can send it to you, and presumably when you load it, it looks like how they actually envisage it. What fun we can have with clients being able to actually update things on their own websites and tell you what they think it should look like. What do you reckon, Paul? Use it? Not use it?
The main feature it needs is how to make the logo bigger, obviously.
Yes, I bet that's coming. It's got to be coming, surely.
It's got to be in a roadmap.
Yeah.
And reduce the white space as well. We need to reduce white space and give it a bit more. What do we say?
Bling, zing,
a bit more bling,
pop.
Hopefully it's got it could just have an auto feature for that. You just press the button and it's nice. And there's something like that on AppSumo at the moment. This isn't it, is it? This is a different thing.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It might be.
There's a tool that I used to have that stopped being a product after a while, and it was good because it allowed a client to not just describe the changes they want, but to kind of make those text changes and font size. Right. Even though it wasn't exactly how you might do it, they could see if the idea that they had in principle almost worked. Like make that heading a bit bigger, or can we highlight this in some way? And like I say, it might not be how you would actually design it, but you could just save that brain power to have to try and interpret the comments that they were saying. And it was quite good, but I think that tool just stopped being a thing.
Well,
but,
I've found the replacement. Yeah. This is it. This is absolutely going to solve all your problems. I feel it needs a CSS blink button. What's that?
I wonder if it's better if it's more of an editorial editing thing or a design editing thing.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to share this with your clients, would you? I mean, they don't want to get involved with things like margin and padding anyway. But anyway, there it is. It's called pagereview.io, so you can go and check that out.
Yeah.
And Stripe has acquired a company called Paystack for $200+ million. Stripe, obviously everybody knows what Stripe does. We just talked about them. Apparently Paystack is the Nigerian equivalent, and it's been widely used within Africa as a whole, and it's very successful apparently in Africa. So Stripe have now firmly planted their flag in the African sand. Apparently it's growing. That part of the world, e-commerce is growing 21% year over year, which is 75% faster than the global average. So it's no wonder they're sinking their money into it. So anyway,
it's a really interesting market, and we could spend the big things that we have and we take for granted here don't necessarily exist in some of those marketplaces, in terms of credit cards, in terms of shipping and how to ship things. So it's interesting to see how these things are changing and the dynamics. A lot of this was done by mobile phones. People use mobile phones for transactions in Africa a lot sooner than we have in other areas, because sending somebody a text that costs you an amount of money was actually a transaction. There's other ways and means of doing it. So it's good to see these things coming about and how these will change.
You do kind of hope that if it's an indigenous, for want of a better word, company, you obviously they've done very well, but you hope it continues to service the community with which it was designed. You know,
good to see. It's really good to see, and as you say, to come out in that way.
That's all I've got. Unless anybody wanted to. Oh, please, what have you got? Where is it?
I can share the screen. I'll just share. There's one thing which I thought is another could be a big thing that's come up, which you should have now.
Got it.
Okay, which is last week. Microsoft have been rolling out Edge, as we all know, and Edge is Chrome based.
Paul
and
likes
last
Edge,
week, anybody who's got Edge would have suddenly found that they've got the Office apps, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. I don't know about PowerPoint. I know it's Word and Excel and maybe others, installed as PWAs underneath Edge. So you suddenly have a copy of Word that runs under Edge on your machine.
What, free?
Yep.
Like, is that are you saying it's an accident, or is this somebody?
They rolled it out. They rolled it out last week. That it came out last week. That if you go into if you're on a Windows machine, you'll suddenly find that you suddenly have these new apps on your machine.
Did you read a few weeks ago the guys in Linux, the guys at right at the top, the forefront of thought in Linux, are basically saying that within a few years' time, Windows will be sitting on top of Linux. The Linux kernel will run Windows. And it feels to me like Microsoft are going out of their way to kill the products which I associate with their profit.
But this is really interesting that they've done this. This is really super interesting, because I am a big believer, as we've talked about before, about things like PWA and where we're moving to, which is that you've got to move away from a PC. You've got to move away and see that you'll be running. So if you can think now that if you can run Chrome on a Chromebook, obviously, but you could be running it on a TV, you've got Word, a fully version of Word running on your TV.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Maybe it isn't what you want, but there's reasons why, actually, from their perspective, they're going one set of code. I mean, an interesting argument I have, and this is a side issue, but important. Android is not going to be running on the new versions of phones from Huawei, if that's pronounced correctly. I think I've pronounced it incorrect. Huawei, thank you. Because of licensing issues, which means we're going to end up with a third mobile phone operating system in the big scale. So we'll have Android, iPhone, and whatever they come out with, iOS and whatever they come out with. That separates. That means we now got 4 deliveries of a website.
Yeah.
That's making it really confusing. If you can actually not build apps on that, and you can build PWA in that environment, and now Microsoft are basically turning around to you and saying, here is our apps as a PWA. That means that the version of in theory, the version of the PWA they're creating should be able to run on your iPhone as well. Maybe we're looking at us being able to look at our websites and saying we convert our websites to PWA, and we're dropping them in the same way as we're dropping other apps in.
Is a PWA just like a web wrapper around a currently already existing, let's say, an app which is available online? So like Google Docs, could they wrap that up as a PWA and just literally ship what they've got, but they get an icon on the screen of your phone? Is there more to it? Effectively,
so there's more to it. There's a manifest file which holds all of the executables, and there is a degree of a database and other elements that you can drop onto the phone. So the first time you open that app or the page, you're downloading a set amount. I can't remember. You've got a set amount of storage. I think it's like 50 meg. But I may be wrong. Don't quote me on it.
But it's just cache for quick retrieval of recent stuff, right?
But of the app, of the executable elements of the control of the stuff that you want to do, and then bringing this full circle, and of course, Nathan, you plan this way. It then talks back to the API of WordPress. So it can talk then back to the API of WordPress that we started this conversation in. and you can link stuff in. So you will end up with an editable version of you'll end up potentially with a PWA on your iPhone or on your Android or whatever, that you can then edit your WordPress website just talking via the API.
Very clever. And free Microsoft Word. You've got to think that's it for Office. They're just sort of slowly giving up.
Yeah, well, they gave up with Internet Explorer. They gave up with Edge. The fact they just literally ditched their own version of Edge and went over to
Chrome.
To Chrome, of which in the last week and a half, from what I can work out, they've enabled it to literally self-install now, and it's going to be the new version. And now you're dropping Office onto there. I'm sure that they will be sitting there going, if you're a home user, I mean, there's no different. If you've got a Mac, Apple have been installing their Office for free, or it's included in every version of Mac OS for a long time. Pages, etc. So maybe the argument is they're just saying that's the free version. Everybody's gonna have it now.
Yeah,
and if they don't have to support software. Because the nice thing with the PWA is you don't have to support it, because every time you launch it updates.
The same version.
Updates, none of this crap. That's it. That's where we're going.
That feels like a real epoch. Microsoft Word, Microsoft anything, frankly. I'm a happy Mac user, and long may it continue. Right. Okay. Now that was a good aside. Thanks, Leo. Enjoyed that. Before we go, any final words from anybody? Anybody doing anything exciting this week? I am not. Oh no, we got some cats. We got 2 cats. Yeah. So I'm going to be stroking cats this week. There you go. That's my bombshell. What about you, Leo? Polishing the beard, probably, I suspect.
I thought you wouldn't have said anything. No, nothing. I've got lots of online streaming to do this week, but not as much as before.
Have you basically pivoted? Are you now an online streamer? Is that what you now do?
No, I've been doing a lot of other stuff myself, but we're heavily building a number of sites for the upcoming Olympics, which will be next year. And Sotic are doing a lot of stuff. But there's other opportunities other areas that I'm looking at how our business interacts with other areas. So it's a slight change for me, but the company is growing and growing.
Nice, thank you. Sabrina, anything exciting this week?
What I'm very into right now, I'm building cabinets in my bathroom and in the kitchen from IKEA. And this brought me to the thought, we were talking about the websites that if they're old, they just have to go. But, with all these renovation things, I was looking for a lot of stuff online, and the websites where I was able to find information mostly were forums, and they were like older built websites, but the information on these forums is like relevant and new and really useful for people. And I think this is a good thing that for such websites, they will be pushed to update their content, not because of SEO. They don't really have a lot of traffic coming from search engines, but mostly from people who subscribe to forums and stuff. But it's almost impossible to use them using your smartphone, and they will be just made they will be made to update their websites to make it usable for users.
I actually thought when you said bathroom cabinets, I actually thought you said Kubernetes. I thought you were going to get into some really complicated stuff that was way above my pay grade.
Your pay grade.
Anything.
Wait,
cabinets is the one.
That bathroom cabinets are not a complicated thing.
It's so Kubernetics, and you don't want to go down that road.
No. Right, Lacey, what's happening with you this week?
Well, you got some new cats. I've got a new dog. So we've got 2 dogs now.
Wow.
We've got Ellie, who was already the dog, and we've got Ollie now as well, who's a puppy.
Well, I'm thoroughly enjoying my cats. They're absolutely fabulous. Anyway, so it's pets, bathrooms, and live streaming. That's it. That's
by
what's
the way,
happening.
the website you were looking for David is
Can I quickly do that? Quick. Yeah. Let me just find. Would you put it in the private chat? Please go and have a look at this.
beaverjunction.com.
Got it. Thank you. If you are a Beaver Builder user, I looked at this yesterday, and this is cool. This is David Wormsley, who's just put like a bunch of really great resources together. So the principle being, if you're a Beaver Builder user and you're just fed up of doing stuff yourself and making things look nice, David's put together loads and loads of things that you can drop into a page. So, for example, there might be 10 in one row. There might be 10 different styles of pricing table or different layouts for icon boxes and that kind of thing. And then you just literally drag the one that you like best into your website, delete the row that you now no longer need, and then go and find another one. It's a genius idea. And I can't believe nobody's done it that way before. Anyway, it's there. It's called beaverjunction.com. And what a great idea. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Right. That's it. We're going to go. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have a nice time. And if you guys want to stick around, we'll have a nice natter when everybody's gone. See you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.